Yo, what is going on, guys? We got a little bit of a different video today. I got the headphones on. I'm going to be doing a little reaction to my last year preseason predictions, what I thought was going to happen in the NHL season. I do remember who I picked for a cup final in the major awards. I have no clue what my divisions look like in terms of standings, so we're just going to one take it right now. I'm going to go division standing by division standing. Then I'm going to review my cup final. Going to review the awards I picked and go through all that. Should be very interesting. I feel like some of my division standings are going to be like 20 to 30 points off, looking at how some of the teams surprised this year. But let's get into it. 48 hours till the NHL. I just realized I'm wearing the same sweatshirt. That is gold. I need to get a new sweatshirt. If you've been following the page for a while, you know I like religiously wear this sweatshirt. This is the go-to sweatshirt. Go Canes. That's bad. I need to get like a new Islanders sweatshirt or something. But moving on. Let's get into this.
NHL season gets
Bad
underway,
style.
so now it is time for my official 2022-2023 season predictions. Here's my points predictions. I've already made a video going more in depth on this, but we do not have time for this.
Let me pause this here. I say pause it. There's a lot to go through. There is a lot to go through with this. You guys, well, let's start in the Metro. Rangers, Hurricanes, 107, 105. I think I picked the Rangers just because, like, if they ended up being sick this year, I kind of wanted to, like, be like, I called it. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes with the teams that I don't like the most, that I hate the most, I, like, over-predict. So, like, if I'm right, I might as well get some brownie points for being right. But if I'm wrong, I don't really care because I don't like the team. So Rangers, 107. What were they? They were around there, but the Hurricanes were obviously like 110. The Washington Capitals, I still like am higher on most. I'm not going to predict them put up 104 points. But last year, they had such bad injuries. I've said it 9,000 times. Wilson, Carlson, Backstrom, Oshie. They all missed like 30 games. I'm not going to be predicting them to be a 104-point team. I think they're going to be in like low 90s. Saying that, I'm going to predict them for 93 points, and then I'm going to make this video next year, and it's going to be like, damn, they were a 75-point team. But that I don't really hate. Penguins, Islanders, I was in the right ballpark. Penguins were obviously slightly worse. Fourth divisional spot for the Penguins. It's not bad. Islanders, I had them in the playoffs. A lot of people didn't have the Islanders last year. They were fully out on the Islanders after a down year. Maybe I'm a little biased for that, but I said playoffs this year. Screw it. They were in my final wild card spot ahead of the Panthers. So Islanders was solid. New Jersey Devils, that's one where, yeah, I was 26 points off, but I'm not going to overthink that because they were not expected to be that good last year. I even 86 points was like a 26-point jump from what they were the prior year. Nobody had the Devils safely in the playoffs. So although that might be like my worst pick in terms of farthest off, I'm not going to hate that. The Flyers, they were actually better than expected. 63 points. I thought they were going to fully blow it up. This year, it looks like they're fully going to blow it up now that they got rid of Tony D, Provorov, Kevin Hayes. So, like, this year, I think 63 points is actually going to be valid. But last year, I think they were on like 75. They were actually pretty decent. Moving on to the Atlantic. The Atlantic's a little bit wild. Lightning, they kind of just coasted once they found out they were playing Toronto in the first round and not going to have home ice. They didn't really give a shit. 97 points. Leafs, I think 105 points. That was a solid prediction. They actually finished second. Boston Bruins, I'm not going to victory lap this one, but a lot of people said the Bruins weren't going to make the playoffs last year. I don't forget. I think this year it is different because they lost so many pieces. But last year I was pretty firm. I had them in by 4 points looking at it right now. I said the Boston Bruins were going to be a playoff team. Don't forget that. But it definitely wasn't a good prediction because they ended up putting up 130 points. But I had them safely in a divisional spot. Panthers, wild card team. Some people had them like 105. Because they won the President's Trophy the prior year. I think I got that pretty bang on, having them at 96 points. The Detroit Red Wings. I was high on the Detroit Red Wings last year. 92 points, 4 points off. I'm supposed to be the Red Wings hater. I don't know why I thought that. And it just goes to show, last year I thought the Senators were not going to be that good of a team. 87 points for the Ottawa Senators. I've been saying throughout, like last year I thought that they were mad overhyped. One of the most overhyped teams in the league. They didn't have a good goalie tandem. Their defense was like Thomas Chabot and this unknown kid, Jake Sanderson. I think this year they're going to be legit, but it's good to see that last year I didn't buy the hype. The Canadians, they were about a 73-point team. And then the Buffalo Sabres at 70 points. I remember even in the moment, I was low on them the most because they weren't that good the previous season. But yeah, that's a big miss because Devils, I'll admit I was wrong, 86 points, but like everybody was. The Sabres, I remember people were telling me like Sabres are better than the Canadiens. They were like an 80, maybe an 80-point team. I was wrong on that, hand up. I just didn't really buy into Tage Thompson taking that next step. Alex Tuck becoming like point per game. Jeff Skinner, I thought like him going for 33 and 30 the prior season was like back to the Jeff Skinner. Like that's Jeff Skinner going forward, not point per game, above point per game. Sandin, I wasn't expecting to have like if Norris final a season. So I'll admit that might be my worst one. That's definitely worse than the Devils one, just because a lot of people were saying the Sabres were going to be half decent. I had them as what? The 5th worst team in hockey? I mean, they ended up being like the 13th worst team in hockey, so it wasn't like they made the playoffs, but that's bad in my opinion. That's an oversight. Moving on, Avalanche, they ended up winning the division. The St. Louis Blues, 108. They just got off to such a bad start. And then with their core, it was like everybody was expiring, or like the key pieces were expiring that season. Ryan O'Reilly, Tarasenko were expiring. They weren't going to bring them back. So I think the logic was okay on that because the prior season they were like 112 points or something. They just fell off hard and they started slow and they sold. Predators had a ton of injuries. Yossi missed like 15 games, but that's not good. I'm definitely lower on the Predators this year, which means the Predators are probably going to put up 103 points. As soon as I predict them to put up like 87 points, they're going to make the playoffs. But Stars, oh my God, the Central was bad. The Central was bad for me. The Stars I had at 94. I thought they were like a fringe. I had them missing by 1 point. So I guess it's not like horrible, but still, because the prior year they did miss the playoffs. That's still not good. I'm definitely higher on the Stars this year. Jesus. Jets. Maybe I do hate the Jets. Maybe I do hate the Winnipeg Jets, honestly. 80 points. They weren't that bad the prior season. I don't know why. I thought maybe they were finally going to... Oh, yeah, because they demoted Blake Wheeler of the captaincy like weeks before the season. So my logic was like, oh, they're going to blow it up this season. They ended up actually starting out fantastic. Then they sucked towards the end. But... They didn't blow it up. Maybe this year they finally blow it up. I think I'm probably going to predict them to be like in low 90s, maybe even mid 90s point team. If they keep this current core together, it's the most mid core of all time, but mid can still make you the playoffs. It's the average. But moving on, Coyotes 66. I think they were like 67, 68. Blackhawks 60. I might have hit that one dead on. Might be our only dead on one. Moving on to the Pacific. Oilers 107. I think they were like about 107. Flames 105. I was about where most people were. Most people had them top 2 in the division. Some people had them winning the division after the Huberdeau trade. I said, obviously, the Panthers won that trade, but 105 for the Flames. That's a bad take, but most people had the Flames safely in the playoffs. Vegas Golden Knights. I don't think people will remember how many people said the Vegas Golden Knights were done. I, of course... stupidly said the Oilers would walk them in like 5 or 6 games. That was stupid. Don't get me wrong, but like I remember people had like Canucks over Knights, and I was like, "What are you doing?" That is a bad take. The Vegas Golden Knights, the previous year missed the playoffs by like 1 point because like Stone missed 40 games, Eichel missed 40 games, Patrick like Vegas was still a very good team, and I think this year people are going to be too high on them because they're gonna like expect Vegas is just going to run it back, which are going to be very good. But I have them third in the division next year. But moving on, Vancouver Canucks. Ugh. I was high on the Vancouver Canucks. I guess, I don't know. I guess that is like mid 93 points. I have them missing the playoffs by 2 points. But I think I'll have them around there this year. They obviously stunk. Ended up trading Bill Horvat, but then trading for Philip Hronik. But the Canucks, I won't have that. I don't have the Canucks making the playoffs next year. Kraken 76. They were a 60-point team the prior year. I can't get too mad at that. Nobody was expecting them to go from a 60-point team to a 100-point team, especially because like they didn't really make any moves over the offseason. They got like Burakovsky. That was it. So that's not good. That is definitely not good. Of course, Devils and the Kraken, I was massively off because they had like some of the greatest season-over-season jumps of all time, so I can't be too mad. Ducks stunk. They were worse than that. Sharks were around 66 points. So overall, for this section, how many playoff teams did I get? Rangers, Hurricanes, Islanders, Lightning, Leafs, Bruins. 6 out of 8 in the East. That's not very good. That's okay. But the East was kind of like expected. Avalanche, Wild, Oilers, Knights, Kings. 5 out of 8 in the West. Yeah, Predators, Blues. Yeah, I give myself like a B minus B. I know 13 or 11 out of 16 playoff teams isn't that good, but I want to see your goddamn predictions before you talk shit. I think it's okay. B minus to a B. Let's move on. What else am I saying?
Shit. Pause it if you want. Go see those videos. Let's move on. For the Stanley Cup Final, as I said.
Oh, yeah, I remember this one. Carolina Hurricanes beating the Edmonton Oilers, a rematch of 06 and the same outcome. Let's see what I have to say first.
Back in mid-July, I think the Carolina Hurricanes win it over the Edmonton Oilers. Carolina already has one of the best defensive cores and defensive systems in the entire league. And once they get Max Pacioretty back from injury, they're also going to have an extremely deep and good forward core.
Okay, so that's obviously didn't happen. I was high on Carolina because once they got Pacioretty, they'd be elite. It turns out in the playoffs, they didn't have Pacioretty, and they didn't have Svechnikov, so they were kind of toast offensively. So I think the logic was solid here. If the Hurricanes had Pacioretty and Svechnikov, I'm not saying they would have made the Stanley Cup Final or even won it, but I think they definitely wouldn't have got swept, even though Rod Brindamore said that they didn't get swept against the Florida Panthers. But I think the logic here for the Carolina Hurricanes was solid. I'm probably not going to pick them again this year, even because they don't have like a Max Pacioretty addition this offseason, even though their forward core, they did add Michael Bunting, but this is pretty solid.
Then for the Oilers, they obviously have the superstar power of Leon and McDavid, but I think they finally have depth on forward and defense, and bringing in Jack Campbell is going to be
bringing in Jack Campbell,
a big upgrade over Mike Smith.
So Jack Campbell ended up not being a big upgrade over Mike Smith. Stuart Skinner obviously came in and kind of relieved him, but yeah, I was high on the Jack Campbell move because Mike Smith was like the most erratic goalie of all time. That obviously didn't pan out. So when you look at the Edmonton Oilers, yeah, Jack Campbell, everybody got fooled by Jack Campbell because he played in Toronto. That's bad. That's bad. But in terms of forward and defense depth, they did end up getting Ekholm. Their defense depth was definitely there. The problem was, besides the two superstars, as I mentioned, they have the superstar power. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins was invisible during the playoffs. Hyman, Evander Kane were invisible during the playoffs. And then once Draisaitl had like 1 point in the final 4 games against the Vegas Golden Knights, they were toast. They were basically toast. So overall, for that, we'll go back for this cup prediction. It's not a bad one. I mean, we got a team that made the Eastern Conference Finals and a team that won the round. And again, the Oilers did win the first round solely because of that superstar tandem. So my logic was solid, but obviously they didn't get it done. I'll give this, considering nobody really picked up Panthers and the Vegas Golden Knights to be in the Stanley Cup Final or make a Stanley Cup Final. Like, I don't think that was like a typical matchup. I don't really think I missed on this. I'll give myself a B+ for having Edmonton versus Carolina, because I do have a conference finalist, and I do have another team that gave the eventual Stanley Cup champ its toughest match, if that makes sense. The Edmonton Oilers took him to 6. Dallas, I think, also took him to 6, but Dallas was down 3-0. Edmonton was 2-2. So I'll give myself a B+ for this. This is an okay prediction. I don't hate this. Why'd I go back to that?
For Mike Smith. For my most underrated team that will surprise people this season is the Washington.
Why did I believe? Again, they got hurt. They got hurt to holy hell. Like, I can't be. It just stinks. I was so all in on this team. Not like Edmonton, not like Ottawa levels this year. But I really thought they were going to be a good team, and I think they are going to surprise some people next year. But I can't. This is bad. This is a miss. This is a C- D+.
Capitals. I'm not saying they're going to win the cup, but I've seen a lot of people say they're not going to make the playoffs. I have them comfortably in the playoffs. And for my most disappointing team, I'm going to go with the Ottawa Senators. I still think they have a bright.
That's a dub. That's an A+. That's an A+ right there. Let's fucking go. It's an A+. People keep on saying I'm like sucking off Ottawa. I did not last year. Video evidence, proof. I said they're the most disappointing team in hockey.
Future, but I think some people are putting too much expectations on them. They still have a lot of holes. I see them in the mid-80s. Now on to the awards. Jack Adams, I'm going with Jay Woodcroft. Obviously,
I don't know how many. I don't think he was a finalist for the Jack Adams. It wasn't a bad pick. They were They were great down the stretch, but yeah, obviously didn't win the Jack Adams. I'll give this a B minus because he was bad at the start of the year. They were stinking it up early, mainly because Jack Campbell was the worst goddamn goalie in hockey. But yeah, this was okay.
They're gonna have a very good season. You look at how they were under Tippett versus Woodcroft. I'm expecting another 105, 110 point pace season from Woodcroft. Beniers for Calder. I literally made an entire video on why I think this. UC Soros for the Vesna. He was a fun.
Yeah, let's run that back. Beniers for the Calder. This was another one that I like Ottawa. Got to take your dubs when you can. I told you guys before the season last year, Beniers plus 400 for the Calder was free money because he put up like point per game in his like 9-game rookie season. This was probably my best take in recent memory. He was like the co-favorite, so I can't really say like this was out of nowhere, but it was a solid pick. Beniers winning Calder. Let's go. Back on the board. A+.
UC Soros for the Vesna. He was a finalist last year. Has been one of the best goalies the past 2 years, and they brought in Ryan McDonough. Their defense is only going to be better. If the Predators make the playoffs, I think he wins. If
the Predators did make the playoffs, I think UC Soros wouldn't have won it. He definitely would have been a finalist, so I think it was a solid pick. Some models had him first in expected goals. Goals saved above expected. So I give this like a B plus, this pick. Obviously was wrong, but UC Soros finished 4th, had a very, very good season. He's just, again, on the Predators. Ryan McDonough ended up sucking for the Predators. Like, that didn't, not sucking, but like he wasn't Tampa, New York version of Ryan McDonough. So their defense wasn't as good. He still got absolutely pelted with shots. But I think this overall a pretty solid take. I'm going to B.
Selke, I'll go with Anze Kopitar. I'm not very confident in this pick, but the Kings should be a playoff team, and he's going to be their first-line center playing against other teams' first-line centers.
Anze Kopitar had like okay defensive metrics this year. They weren't close to Selke level. He wasn't a finalist. I think he probably got like some votes just because he's an old head and gets votes. But I'll give this like a C plus. This is definitely disappointing. Why didn't I go with Bergeron, the fucking GOAT? I don't know.
So he puts up good defensive results. He's going to have a shot. And kind of some basic picks. I'm going to go with Austin Matthews for the Rocket. If it's not Austin Matthews, I'm going with Leon.
Leon. Matthews was like back-to-back Rocket winner. I kind of just went safe there. Sleeper pick. Leon ended up scoring what, like 55, I think? 54? So that was okay. McDavid obviously just went off. Probably should have given some love to McDavid. That's like it was a very basic pick, so I'll give myself a B minus.
Again, McCarr for Norris, a very basic pick, but it's so hard to pick against him. My sleeper pick for this is Miro Heiskanen.
McCarr for Norris. McCarr would have won the Norris if he played like 75 games. He had 66 points in 60 games. So another basic pick. Miro Heiskanen was a good shout. People forget he hadn't put up more than like 45 points in the season before last year. Went for like 74. I think he finished like 6th in Norris voting. He didn't win it. That was a pretty good sleeper pick. There was a lot of value there. I think he was like 30-1 to start the season. So I'll give myself a B on that prediction.
Art Ross, Connor McDavid.
Nobody was picking Carlson to win the Norris, let's be honest.
David, as long as he plays 75-plus games.
Hi, Art Ross. Let's go. Really pulled that one up. Pulled that one out of my ass. Connor McDavid for the Art Ross. I'm him. Really went on a limb.
Win it. Underrated pick here is Nikita Kucherov.
Nikita Kucherov for the underrated pick for the Art Ross was a solid one. I think he was third in the entire league in points. Yeah, he had 113. So that's if there was like an Art Ross for non-Oilers, he won the non-Oilers Art Ross. That's an A+. I got the winner and I got the third place guy.
And then again, Connor McDavid for the Hart Trophy. I think the Oilers are going to have a good season, and I see him putting up like 125 points, maybe even 130.
Maybe even 130? Little does 2022 MB know. Yeah, I mean, obviously he's going to win the Hart. I don't think that's that hard. That's that hard to understand. Got it done. That's like a pick because it's Connor McDavid.
So yeah, that's how I see the season going. This will probably age horribly, but I am a man of honor. I am pinning this to the top of my page so you can check throughout the months, seeing how my predictions do. But anyway, let me know in the comments, what do you think of these picks?
Oh, yeah, that's my thing. I always pin my season predictions at the top. It has like 90. I think initially, like, first couple of days, it only had like 20,000 views. Now it has like 90. It's just been sitting at the top of my profile for so long. But overall, I think I did pretty solid. Some of the division predictions, Sabres way off, Devils off but expected. Blues I was egregiously high on. but they were very good the previous year. Stars, I was a little low on. Kraken, I was low on, but everybody was. Nobody had them in the playoffs. But for the most part, 11 out of 16 playoff teams. Ottawa, I said, was overrated as shit. Hurricanes, Oilers, not the worst. I mean, again, in this industry, you need to get it like perfectly right, or else you get no credit at all. I understand that, but considering the difficulty of predicting an NHL season, I think I did an okay job. And the funny thing is, this year, well, to review for next year, I made so many goddamn predictions this offseason. It's gonna be really fun to do this video last year. This year, I only have like this TikTok and maybe a couple other things I can react to. Next year, it's gonna be like a 4-hour like his Rocket percentage odds, reacting to that. It's going to be nuts. But let me know in the comments, what do you think about this video? Do you like these kind of react videos? I personally really enjoy it. Get to throw the cans on. But let me know in the comments, what do you think? Like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And I'll be seeing you.